Today on our Ask the Expert LinkedIn Live, I'm joined by DFS Sales and Key Account Director Viju Pullan and DFS Product Manager for EMEA Field Dispensers Siobhan Finch, as we answer your questions related to how retailers can exceed customer expectations. Hi Viju, hi Siobhan.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, and thanks for having us.
No, thank you for joining us. Now, we do have quite a few questions to go through, but before I start, I wanted to let our audience know that if they post a question in the chat, we'll respond to you directly afterwards if we don't have the time to during our live session. So let's get started with our first question. So what do customers expect when they visit a fuel site?
Well, from my standpoint, people tend to just want to fill up as quickly as possible. They don't want to wait in any long queues. They especially don't like it when the dispenser's down or they see that horrible little yellow triangle at the top of the dispenser. So fundamentally, it's really about making sure that within each forecourt that you have durable dispensers which are built to last and high performing, so you can fuel up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense.
That's definitely the case. If today the modern customers expect, it's hygiene, cleanliness, all those things are a given default. They expect the equipment to perform, but they also expect modern technology to be on site. They expect the right payment methods. They expect the payment mechanism to work. They expect by default the fueling what is done is trustworthy and it's communicated well. They expect mobile payments and various other methods by default on it. They expect to go to the toilet and pay by app or a card or something like that. They expect loyalty. They expect to be rewarded for who they are. They are a customer. Customer is God, right? So it's a very interesting times we are in.
Yeah, and I think as well you touched on a really good point there, Viju, where you said that they are expecting what they are used to with some added extras with being able to pay by app or just having that modern technology. Consumers today are time poor, so making sure that you have everything that you think they'll need before they need it, I think, is probably key. So coming on to our next question, how can I meet consumer expectations when they're always changing?
Research.
That's a good one. Perfect.
Yeah.
There's no other word. It's a one-word answer. It's research. We've got to continuously have that dialogue, not only with our customers, so the end customers in the forecourt, but also with our fueling partners and also with our distributors to continually understand what's happening in the market and making sure that we can identify untapped needs, because really that's what's going to drive the consumer expectations and what they expect and what's changing. It's not about only their current needs, it's about the untapped ones.
Yeah, no, I agree.
In fact, survey is the one point answer. The question is then how do you do it, right? So and expectations change. It's very dynamic. But the fact is they leave clues. They give you pointers. They give you indicators of what the customer is expecting, even if it's a change, because this change is not coming in an isolation. The industry is changing. The retail industry is changing. The customers on a fuel side, refueling side expect those overlaps to happen. There is an indicator. There's a pointer there. So yes, conducting surveys, conducting monitoring, those things, talking to the frontline staff, having loyalty programs, having apps, all those things get into a feedback loop with the customer becomes a very, very critical area. And a very important thing is training your staff to handle multiple duties and also be observant to those feedbacks of the customer. That means you need to leave space for your staff and train them to look at those things. And the best part is, the traditional one, speed, safety, and simplicity. Ensure your site has it, equipment has it, solutions on site has it, speed, safety, and solution, and simplicity. These are evergreen stuff. They don't go away.
Yeah, no. And I think it's important as well, although you're tying in with the survey information and the research, it's important to note like data, any data that retailers can probably collect on site from their customers, from their equipment, is also incredibly valuable when they're looking to meet changing consumer expectations as well. So I think we can answer this one quite easily. How important is it to meet customer expectations?
The answer is simple. I mean, today's industry, fuel is a very low margin industry. So meeting customer expectations, or let's say exceeding customer expectations, is your key to providing the customer with an experience. So the margin is not coming from fuel on a station. The margin is coming from the return of experience. There is a very nice term called ROX, return on experience. And this is what you have to target as a station owner and provide the customer with it. Otherwise, you don't get repeat business. So repeat business is the key. Getting the customer a good experience means the customer walks into your shop. A clean fur coat means the customer expects inside the shop is all good. So a pleasant experience, a technology-enabled experience is what finally enables the ROX, return on experience.
Yeah, I love that terminology. Okay, so one of the questions came in when, where should I focus my efforts or investment to exceed customer expectations?
You want to try that?
On you go, Viju.
No, you want to try that, I was saying. Go ahead.
Yeah. From me, from a dispenser standpoint, one of the most important things when a customer goes to fuel up is just making sure that the performance is there on the dispenser, and that dispenser doesn't break down. So focusing in efforts, it's really about having high quality components within the dispenser that are built to last, that fundamentally will mean that your forecourt, is kept up and running. But also looking to, should something happen with that dispenser throughout the period of its life, because something at some point in time your dispenser will break down. How do you get that dispenser back up and working as quickly as possible? So from that standpoint, it would really be looking at remote diagnostics.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Anything that you would like to add to that question, Viju?
I mean, how can you improve that? I fully agree with what Siobhan just said there. Have to have reliability and have to have a mechanism to ensure things are up and running and robust. And of course, as we discussed before, you need to have all the different solutions which customer is quite expecting on the site. So that's given. Like we talked about, right payment methods, etc., etc. If I give you a nice example, for instance, if you take EV charges, imagine an EV driver driving into a station like a petrol, expecting a car driving into expecting petrol, and if the equipment doesn't work, and even if you assume the equipment works, imagine if he cannot pay because he cannot walk into the shop and pay like he pays for fuel. He has to work on his app. And 20 to 25% of the customers who try to charge on EV end up not being able to do it. This is the industry survey for various reasons. The connectivity, etc., doesn't work. And when you look at DFS solutions like Prisma, it allows you to enable all the payment methods on site, both indoor and outdoor, OPTs and IPTs, to pay even for EV solution. So this is absolutely brilliant. And this is what the station owners really should look at to enhance the customer experience, that they don't walk out disappointed.
Yeah. And I think it's very valuable, isn't it? Just to have that awareness of, if someone's expecting to refuel or recharge and they go to a forecourt, and they cannot do that simple task, that perception, their expectations not being met, they're going to go somewhere else, and chances are they're not going to return. It depends on proximity and price and a lot of other additional things, but you want to be able to fulfill their basic / core need, I suppose. And then Viju, you kind of touched on the question that we're just going to ask, how important are additional services? You kind of mentioned that when you were talking about EV, and earlier you and Siobhan both touched on that. So how important are having additional services?
It's a given. Coffee makes 70 to 40 to 70% more margin. A car wash makes that kind of margin. So for a retailer to get repeat customers, great, but even for his own bottom line, his margins, etc., it's absolutely important. For a retail chain, it's absolutely important to maintain brand loyalty, etc. So it's very, very fundamental and essential for the business, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I imagine for those, particularly who are maybe wanting to take a break, if they've been traveling for a long time or they're recharging, they need something to do, and you don't want them to leave your site, I think it's good to keep them on there. And a lot of non-fuel retail does bring you that extra margin. So it's definitely something that those watching should kind of pay attention to. So Siobhan, do consumers expect some level of personalisation when they come to a fuel site?
I think they do. The world that we live in, everything is targeted now. And most people do expect at least a kind of basic level of customization. If you talk even the basic levels, it could be, having some sort of loyalty scheme within the forecourt, all the way up to, arriving at your dispenser, picking up your nozzle, putting your loyalty card there, and it says, "Hi, Siobhan." It's morning, so they're offering me some breakfast deals. They know what type of coffee I normally drink. That level of personalization, will start to become the norm at some point within the fueling industry. So, do they expect it? Yes. To what level? You could argue it really depends on the customer group. How much time that they're willing to spend at the forecourt, but also how much money they're willing to spend. So does the person who buys the premium fuel as opposed to the standard fuel, do they expect that, that additional little bit of focus because they're paying a bit more money? Potentially, but you could argue that all consumers deserve to be treated the same. So in short, yes, everyone expects some form of personalization.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then I think we both we all touched on this earlier, but how important is a clean forecourt to consumers?
I think, go ahead, Siobhan.
If I talk about pure forecourt in terms of using your dispensers, consumers expect it as a functional environment. They know that there's going to be a little bit of dirt there because it is a functional place to fill up. But what they don't expect is they don't expect spill fuelage. They don't expect leakage from their nozzles, and they don't expect to arrive and have dirty nozzles or dirty dispensers.
Yeah, I think it's sorry, Viju.
No, I was just trying to substantiate, Siobhan. If you see the stainless steel hydraulic top cover option, it's a very brilliant example. There are the customers who are very well minded about their forecourt aesthetics and all those things. They tend to take that option, and it's a very straightforward option to keep your dispenser looking clean, because on the hydraulic top you tend to accumulate dirt, etc., and they prefer a stainless steel, a nice looking, shiny looking, something which can be kept very clean. It's very nice to see how they do it. But just think about it. If you walk into a station and if the station is not clean, would the customer even trust getting inside the shop and say, I want to buy something? Because they won't trust the food. They won't trust the coffee which is going to be served in that place. So it's important to have a very good forecourt. A clean forecourt means inviting shop.
Yeah, of course. It gives people that subliminal message that if it's clean, it means that it's secure. It means that they had a good offering. When something's dirty, you kind of think a bit about it first, don't you? So again, perception is everything, especially when you're building
Exactly.
that experience. And so how can people, how can retailers improve the store experience on a fuel site?
That's a good one. How can you improve the store experience? So yes, we can talk about as we said, fuel is very heavily competed. So the difference between fuel is not much. The difference is in the experience, and that's how stations tend to differentiate themselves. Now, one of the key things there we can always look into is, like we talked about, personalization. Now, imagine in your old village shop or something like that, you walk into that shop and the shop owner knows you by name.
Mm,
It's not practical when it comes to fuel station. That's absolutely impossible. You have people which change the station, forecourt operators keep changing, etc., etc., and that's where you need the loyalty card which identifies the person. You need a display which tells you hello, like you said, hi Siobhan. Then you will say, would you like to have a coffee, and would you like, depending on how you spend it, your loyalty will talk about it. Now, this
mm,
indeed gives you an experience of how to look at it. But then you think from the other side, in the noon hours, in afternoons, when there is a huge queue up and you have to wait for a long queue, the guy is frustrated.
yeah,
The guy behind the till is frustrated because he's addressing a lot of customers. The customer is frustrated because he's having queue. And these are the times when you need to enable technology with ordering kiosk. You need to enable with self checkouts where the customer can be on their own,
yeah,
try to manage their time, and it is valuable. Their time is valuable, and that is what will drive them back. So, light element of personalization, good convenience of technology depending on your need. And this is where the solution, what you're targeting on your sites, have to be customizable depending on the nature of those sites and the nature of your I mean, it could be your label turnover, it could be the load on the site,
mm,
etc., 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 but your solution has to be flexible. And
yeah,
this is one some of the areas where DFS really specializes in.
yeah. No, I agree. Um, so Siobhan, just coming back to you, you kind of touched on equipment before, but how important is equipment to building a memorable customer experience? How can the equipment do that?
Fundamentally, it's got to be as easy as you to use as possible.
Mm,
So you've got to make the overall filling experience as quick and efficient for, for the end motorist, when it's down to, understanding which nozzle to select, so what grade of fuel that you're using, and being able to, insert the nozzle into your car without having a kind of slightly clunky position,
yeah,
making sure that the flow of the fuel itself is fast and efficient, and there's no slow flow.
yeah,
Um, and then when the fueling's finished, being able to pay quick and efficiently. So even down to being able to link a loyalty card
mm,
with paying contactless with your phone
yeah,
or a dispenser. All of these things are expected and are the norm in today's society.
hmm,
It's just making it thoughtless, effortless.
yeah. That's a good way to put it, particularly when it comes to payment, because everyone has Apple Wallet, Google Wallet, everything's on their phone. So being able to do that without having someone to get a card, which they might not carry anymore because it's on their
Or
phone.
even have to go in store, because although the dispenser will take the loyalty card, it won't take the phone payment. So then
Yeah.
you have to go in store to pay by phone if you don't have your card with you.
Yeah, it's a good point as well. Just those tiny touch points that you wouldn't think would make a big difference really can, because that can cause a level of frustration that maybe means that they would go somewhere else that could just provide that effortless service when it comes to pieces of equipment.
It's all about customer journey, right?
Mm,
So, for instance, if you have fueled and then you walk into the store and you see three items which you want to pick, a chewing gum or a sandwich or a crisp, and then you have to still walk in queue, wait in queue. So, you have paid outside and then now you're waiting in queue to pay again.
hmm,
And this is where now I go to a self checkout. can I pay my fuel and my chips at the same time, right? So can I select my transaction and do my payment and walk out without really queuing up? And
Yeah.
these are where seamless integration of solutions really matter. The customer journey makes the customer is the end result is a customer delight, and
Yeah.
that means repeat customer. That means more spent on site.
Yes. And everyone wants that, don't they?
Yeah,
Um,
that's what.
so again, I think we touched on this earlier, but can efficient operations help me deliver an enhanced customer experience? Viju, you kind of touched on that when you were talking about the connectivity levels between equipment. Would you just like to answer this question?
I mean, this goes back to the original point we said. There are certain evergreen stuffs which never go away. Speed, safety, and simplicity, right?
Mm,
So these things, irrespective of where you are, what is the type of your site, etc., etc. So efficient operation will only be, it will complement the area and business. Speed is critical, but at the same time, it's important to understand speed doesn't necessarily mean fast. Like if you're talking about lunchtime hours, maybe you want it fast. But if you are with your family, maybe you want, your expectations are different. You are there to have something. There is where you have, it's not a self checkout. Self checkout is something for lunch hour. It's an ordering kiosk. An
yeah.
ordering kiosk is something where you get to a chance to upsell, where somebody buys a burger and selects a sauce, and then what else and what else and what else, right? You go through a customized journey,
Mm,
like what you do on a MacD and a KFC and all those places, right? So speed doesn't necessarily mean fast. It has to be adaptable to your
yeah.
need on your station and your solution. So your solution has to adapt to these different needs on your site. So yep, speed, safety, simplicity, these things definitely enhance the customer experience. They are all other words of efficiency.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's one of those things that just kind of help behind the scenes when it comes to operations, almost streamline the process for retailers and for the consumers who come on site. So Siobhan, coming back to you, how can smart technology help retailers stay ahead of the competition when it comes to meeting customer expectations?
Really, it enables you to meet customer expectations. So in terms of smart technology and functionalities that we have within our dispensers, we have the platform for remote diagnostics. So
Mm,
if that, which fundamentally helps get your dispenser up and running quicker, uh,
yes.
should there be an issue. So if you imagine you're a consumer, you arrive at the forecourt, you want to fill up your car, but there's no, you get out your car, you put the nozzle in, and then it doesn't go. Nothing comes out, no fuel comes out. There's nothing on the dispenser to say that it's not working. 9 times out of 10, most consumers will just drive away. Um, and it will take a
Yes.
certain level of person who will then go in after goodness knows how many hours to then identify to the store staff the dispenser's down, it's not working. Most people will drive away, and
Yeah.
that's a lost sale, it's a lost revenue. But with
Yeah.
smart technology and remote diagnostics, you can have operators online who will have instant messages to tell you when dispensers are down, which will allow technicians to get things rectified either remotely or on site, depending on the issue, which again
Yeah.
can be diagnosed remotely and get the pump up and operating as quickly as possible, which is in the best interest of the consumer, but also in the retailer in terms of their overall profit.
Yeah, of course. And I can imagine something like that when we talk about smart technology and the remote diagnostics aspect. It's a cost saving as well for retailers, while also giving them that opportunity to increase their profits.
Exactly. So it's not only about the speed to get the fix done quicker. Ultimately, a lot of the tasks can then be done remotely in order to fix the issues which are happening on said dispenser, versus sending out a service tech to look at it, to reboot it, and to get it back online again.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Anything from your point of view, Viju, on smart technology helping meet customer expectations?
I mean, clearly today's world, smart technology improves your uptime, like what Siobhan explained right now. The downtime is reduced, all that leading to the customer not being dissatisfied. On the other side, smart technology enables the station owner to manage expectations of customers, manage
Yep.
peak loads. It makes the operators on site, it complements them, their effort, and they are less stressed, so they are able to attend their customers in a better way. So all in all, it's very essential to identify the customer, to de-stress your employees, to ensure uptime. So it's just making the right choices, depending on what your site is, and
Yep.
staying with a flexible solution is the key.
Yeah, of course. And I think as well, touching on the fact that when we talk about smart technology, it's only smart if it can work with what you have
Exactly.
on your site as well, that level of connectivity. Because if everything works in isolation, it doesn't really work to the benefit of the retailer. So just something to keep in mind, that when we mention smart technology, we're talking about how it's connected to our pieces of equipment on site as well.
The customer should feel absolutely effortless, and that is as smart as it gets, right?
Yeah, 100%. Well, that looks like all we've got time for this afternoon. If anyone's posted anything in chat, like I said, we will come back to you directly. I would like to thank you, Siobhan and Viju, for your time today, to go through some of our customer expectation questions. And we look forward to speaking to you guys in the future.
Not a problem at
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Right. Bye-bye.